Greetings! Today is 11/26/2024, and the best thing that happened to me today was that I got to talk for 4 hours with one of my homies about philosophy, psychology, religion, like everything in between, and life. And just we had a great time chatting about everything you could possibly imagine. And one of the things that I'm really grateful for today, how awesome my girlfriend is. I'm also really grateful for having Costco chicken wings, frozen chicken wings, in stock in my fridge. I actually had some buffalo chicken wings. That's why I have some buffalo sauce on my shirt. And I was able to hang out with some friends today. And we chatted on Discord. And I talked about how I'm feeling about stuff, how they're feeling about stuff, what we're thinking about, and all that stuff. And that was really cool. A quote to kick off this here log: "You cannot get an A if you're afraid of getting an F." Quincy Jones. Lots to think about there. Every video I'm going to start off with all that stuff. So welcome to my Griff's log for today. Got a lot of stuff to chat about here. I'm not really sure where to begin. I think maybe what comes to mind is I talked about uncertainty. I talked about a lot of stuff in my last video yesterday. I think that I'm thinking a little bit about it more. I was thinking a bit about chemically in your brain what's happening. And given that, I'm not the most unique person in the world. People thought about this very extensively in philosophy for a very long time. What are some philosophical pillars of how people have approached uncertainty, how we've thought about all these different things? I've been super curious about that all day. I have written a bunch of notes in my notepad. I have a very long notepad of all the things that I learned and thought about today. Before we get to that, there's a really interesting Reddit post. I'll link it in the description. But TLDR, I'm not going to show you the post. You can think about it. You can look at the post if you want. Basically, there was an "Am I the asshole?" or "Am I overreacting?" It was an "Am I overreacting?" post, and in that post, there was an AI response to the top level thread, and this AI response was a bunch of advice and life feedback and opinions about what the original poster should do. And every single response was like, "Oh my God, you're amazing! Like, you're a life guru. Like, you must have so much experience with being in a relationship." And then you scroll through a couple of the replies, and they say, "This was Grok AI. This isn't a real person." And it turns out that the person who posted that comment actually posts AI content everywhere. They just keep replying to everything with AI comments, which is really interesting. And it really made me think, whoa, I think we're at the point now where AI comments can be indistinguishable from human comments, and in fact, even more valuable than human content. How do I know? Because when you look at the replies to that comment, it's like, "Oh my God, everyone else in this thread sucks. You're the only one that said something really useful. Like, hey, OP, don't read anything else. This is the one thing you need to read. Oh my God, this guy posted the most amazing insight ever. No one's ever thought of this." And the reality is it's just AI output. And it really made me think about, like, okay, well, if AI output can generate something that is so remarkable, so moving, so insightful that it impacts the human's life in a meaningful way, does it matter that it was AI? I think one argument is that, well, on Reddit, you are supposed to be interacting with another human. So, in theory, there should be this value from interacting with another human on the platform. But you know what? To be honest, a lot of humans have fucking really shitty opinions. Like, the opinions are really, really bad, man. And it's really exemplified there by the fact that the AI comment was one of the highest voted in that thread, because people really resonated with it. So if people can really resonate with an AI piece of content, then does it really matter? I think, in my opinion, though, honestly, I'm losing it on Reddit. I feel like I've used Reddit for like 10 years. I first got addicted when I was in 8th grade. Ever since, I've been on Reddit through thick and thin, man. I used to use Apollo. I mean, I was on I love Reddit. It's a place for you to explore all these thoughts. It's a place for me to quell my mind at night laying in bed next to my girlfriend, and when I don't want to have any audio, I just want to be able to read and like think about stuff, but I can't watch a video. So I can read on Reddit. It's pretty great. But honestly, recently, it's been filled with bots. It's been filled with really hateful comments, just people being mean to each other. I don't think I can. I don't think I can, in good conscience, keep filling my brain with this shit of like, dude, every comment is like people hating each other and like, or finding ways to be pedantic or mean, and like, you know what? If there's an AI comment that offers something really insightful, offers something really nice, really reflective, you know what? That's a good change of pace from all these people being dicks to each other. Who's to say that's bad, man? At the end of the day, Reddit is a piece of entertainment. And if you have a comment that offers entertainment value and offers some insight, okay. I think it's really interesting. I don't know though. Maybe it'll be horrible. Maybe the fact that it's not a human makes it bad. But apparently, if you didn't know that it initially did not matter. No one cared. And there are a ton of replies that are like, it doesn't matter, dude. Like, it was still insightful. But then there are a bunch of people saying, this is an AI. Like, this guy, this is just a really eloquent person. They just really love using M dashes. Well, and then you check the comment history and it's clearly AI. Anyway, that was one of the really interesting things today, is like this realization that I think AI comments and AI, like all these LLMs are reaching a really good level, man. And you might disagree with me on that. Go read these comments. Seriously, like it's pretty good. And if you can recognize that it's AI, I barely caught that it was AI at the end. I was like, man, this person seems like to really have a really odd sentence structure. Like the beginning of every paragraph is this weird, like kind of like a proposition or like a question or like some type of weird analogy or something. Like, yeah, there's a weird pattern here. But I was just like, they're kind of a weird person. So at the end of the day, it's like, oh shit, like, dude, these are it's gonna be a really weird place on the internet in the coming years, where I think honest, real human thought is gonna be way more important than the AI output. Or maybe that's wrong. Maybe no one cares. Maybe the AI Minecraft brain rot is actually gonna replace all the people. Maybe this video, maybe I'm going to record this in a year where I'm going to use an AI to record my face. That's not the point of this channel. The point of this channel is capturing my day as it actually happened and what I was feeling that day. But anyway, very interesting there. Which got me thinking a little bit more about like, the difference in like, what does knowledge mean? What does it actually mean? We know what the word knowledge means. But like, what are all the ways that you could acquire knowledge? And I landed on the idea of knowledge by acquaintance, which is like by virtue of being exposed to something, by having a little bit of knowledge of it. Like, so for example, knowledge of acquaintance would be like, yeah, I know Jim. I know Jim at the old gas station. I know Jim. And you say, well, that's knowledge by acquaintance. Can you describe Jim? Can you really describe the essence of Jim? Maybe not, but I know Jim. It's like, kind of know this thing by kind of being a little bit exposed to it, but not quite really. It's a very interesting dynamic. Then I started learning about some more cognitive psychology, some syllogisms, just like how logic is formed, how the basic units of logic are formed. I took a logic class in college where we learned more about this. We had to code up a logic system. So like given a series of like claims, you'd have to code the predicates that would then form that chunk of logic. It was really interesting. Then I was exposed to the idea of qualia. Qualia is the idea of in the philosophy of mind, qualia is the instances of subjective conscious experience. Super interesting idea. I didn't know there was a word for having subjective conscious experience. So it's like, for example, every single one of you that are watching this video, you right now, you're going to have a different response to this video than the other person that watched it. I'm going to have a different response recording this video and then watching it than you're going to have watching it. Like every single person's subjective experience is going to be totally different, which is crazy. Like you can say the same exact thing. You can provide the same exact stimulus, but given a different person, it's a completely different response. It might seem obvious, but it's like, we had to conceptualize that and give it a damn word. And the word is qualia. We have subjective conscious experience. It's very, very interesting. So I started getting into that. I started looking, what is the philosophy of mind? There's a whole field of philosophy that's dedicated to the mind and the body, and then how you interact with the entire world as a result. Super interesting. Way too much to digest there. You have to, people you get a PhD in this stuff for years. Lots to digest there. But I'm a noob in the field, and it's pretty cool to be able to think about it. I learned a little bit about the mind-body problem, which is a big problem within the philosophy of mind. Basically about the relationship between thought and consciousness. So and your mind and your body, right? So like the relationship between thought and consciousness and your mind and body. So it's like, okay, I'm able to think about things. Rather, I see the light reflecting off my wall from my Elgato key light that is lighting up my face and all this stuff. I can look at my screen and see my OBS recording of me talking into the camera. I can look into my camera and see your soul right now as you are sitting on the toilet watching this video. I can see all that in theory. That stimulus goes into your fucking eyeballs. It gets processed by your brain. And then all of that, I eventually output something from my mouth. I'm wiggling my fingers, doing all that stuff. Some stuff is happening automatically. My heart's beating, all this shit. How do all these things interact? I've experienced this a shitload. When I was in school, whenever I would go to raise my hand, my heart rate would spike like 70, dude. I would go from like 70 heart rate to like 140. And that was because like this stimulus of me having the courage to raise my hand now has put me on the path to like eventually being asked to speak in front of everybody. It's this anxiety about the inevitable future here of, damn, I'm gonna have to speak in front of everybody, and if I sound stupid, I'm gonna feel really bad about myself. Or if I ask the wrong question, what if the teacher calls me a fucking idiot for asking the wrong question? Never happened. No one never laughed at me for asking a question. All of that was in my mind and just anxiety for no reason. No one will ever laugh at you for asking a question. Unless you were my linear algebra professor my freshman year of college, who I went to his office hours, no one else there, just me. I asked him, hey man, what can you explain this? I don't really get it. And he goes, you don't get it? What? And I was like, fuck, man. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand. And then I never went to office hours ever again. I dropped that class at the end of the semester because I basically was going to fail it, and then retried it the next year. So, yeah, don't laugh. If you're a teacher, don't laugh at your student for not knowing something. I think there's a cool XKCD strip about the Lucky 10,000. It's one of my favorite things of all time. Is like, you tell someone you don't know something, then the answer is, you say, damn, you're one of today's lucky 10,000. Of all the people born, all the people existing at any given time, you are one of the 1 in 10,000 people that are hearing this information for the first time. Congratulations. You won the lottery. You get to learn about this cool thing. That's so cool. And if you've never heard of the 1 in 10,000 rule there, congratulations. I'm happy to share it with you. So I think it's really important. If someone says they don't know something, don't laugh at them. Make them feel happy to have shared that vulnerability of not knowing with you, and reward them for it by sharing it in a fun and honest way, man. I don't want to sound patronizing here, but fuck me, man. So many people are assholes when you tell them that you don't know something. So be kind to your fellow humans, man. Anyway, another interesting thing with the mind-body problem is that, like, yeah, you have all your brain functionings that, like, given the stimulus, right? How does my subjective experience, my qualia throughout my entire life impact how I'm responding right now? For example, how I'm talking on camera is the result of all the people I've watched in media, all of the effort that I've put into streaming, into making videos, all this stuff. How I'm feeling right now, I'm feeling a little bit tired. It's 11:33 at the end of the day for my captain's log here, Griff's log. And, fuck me, man. There are all these things that affect you. How does therapy affect your mind? How does that impact your brain? How does being able to talk to someone about something impact your brain? How does me doing this Griff's log for day 3, how does that impact my brain? How will that impact my brain in a year? Does that have any effect? I don't know, man. And I'm kind of excited to find out. How do drugs affect your mind? How does Adderall affect your mind? How does cocaine affect your mind? How does weed affect your mind? How do all these things affect your mind? How does it affect the processing of the stimulus that you're receiving? Super interesting to think about. Lots to chew on there, and I'm gonna keep learning about this stuff. So I'll figure out some more things to learn there. I really want to look into the Advaita Vedanta. I think is like it's a Hindu tradition of textual exegesis in philosophy. Basically, I think I don't quite fully understand it. I think there's a shitload to chew into here. I think the general idea here is something about yourself, something about consciousness, something about all this stuff that we're talking about. Turns out that this has been discussed for a very, 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 very long time. And I'm not the first to be concerned about this, and I'm not the first to write an entire doctrine about this. So I got a lot of learning to do. Unfortunately, I don't have much to share about that. I also learned about metacognition. That's the word for you observing the fact that you can think about something. I talked about that the other day. The general premise is like, as a refresher, if you think about something, you can observe you thinking about something, right? Which means that there is an observer of those thoughts. That process of observing your thoughts has a word. It's called metacognition. That's what that is. And it's this self-awareness of thought, which is super interesting. And then I thought about, okay, well, if there's an observer of thought, then who is the observer of thought? And it turns out that also has a name that's called infinite regress, where the observer is observing the observer, but then who's observing that observer, which means there's an infinite chain of observers observing observers, right? So that's a really interesting one. And then, okay, well, what's the consequence of that? And the answer is it's this idea of reflective thinking. That you've gone, you're reflectively thinking, but maybe the reflection's going a little bit too recursively, you know? You're going too far. It can lead to rumination. I've experienced that, where I think about, oh my God, holy shit, I made a mistake. Oh my God, let me think about that, how I made that mistake. Wait, let me think about how I made the, etc. Right? And you just keep thinking. And there is a chain reaction there where you are lost in thought, and it is not good. Sometimes getting lost in the sauce is good. This one, not good. Poison sauce. So interesting to think about. Depersonalization is another consequence. Starting to get removed from yourself in a weird way. Like you gotta be careful. So I think metacognition is really valuable. Being able to think about your thoughts is huge. Because, if someone's mean to you, one thing I learned from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, great book, you should read it. It's really good. One of the things that I learned was that basically there is this gap between when you experience a stimulus and when you respond to something. Think about it. Like, if your mom said, "Hey, pick up your laundry," there's a gap there where you can choose how you respond, right? You could say, "Fuck you, Mom." You could ignore. You could get up and go do it. You could say, "Okay, I love you. Sounds good. I'll go do it." Right? You can do all those different things. And the argument that a lot of people have is, I said it because I wasn't thinking, or like, it's just what I said. I wasn't thinking too hard. It's just what I said. Well, it turns out you don't have to just say things. It turns out you actually can think about things. You can, between a stimulus and a response, choose a response. And that's a really, really fascinating idea to me. And that's really stuck with me. Is like, if you're in an argument with someone, if you're in an argument with your girlfriend or something, and, your girlfriend says something mean to you, or you say something mean to them, if she says something mean to you, you have the ability to simply respond with kindness, respond with love, being gentle, being appreciative of the fact that she's telling you her feelings, and it might be hurtful and she might be really upset, but being thankful and grateful for the fact that you have this person that's willing to talk to you, right? And like choose a response that's not "fuck you," but choosing a response that's like, "Hey, I'm sorry," and giving them a hug, right? And I'm not trying to sound self-aggrandizing here, but the point is that this has really made me think about, oh my God, I can choose my actions a little bit more concretely. And as a 25-year-old, I'm sure I'm going to make a shitload of mistakes where I choose the wrong action, even deliberately choose the wrong action. Just because I've got a lot to learn, man. I've got a long way to go. I'm not perfect, and I will fuck up many, 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 many times, and you're gonna hear about it. It's gonna be in one of the logs, man. Hopefully not log 45, but the whole thing there is like, damn, yeah, you can observe your thoughts, and if you can observe your thoughts, then you can choose an action given that observation that's maybe a little bit kinder, maybe a little bit more gentle, maybe more respectful, maybe more friendly. If someone says hi to you on the street, your default reaction might be to clutch your bag and like be afraid and like walk past them really, really quickly because of past trauma. And that's fair. I totally understand that. It's also an option to look at them and say, hello. And you just walk forward, say, hi, how's it going? You don't have to start a conversation. Or you could say, hey man, I really like your shoes. I don't know. You can choose whatever the hell you want to do. You could run away. I mean, the coolest thing is like, once you realize that observing thoughts allows you to choose your actions more thoughtfully and carefully, it's really cool. That being said, I do think that there runs the risk of decreasing your authenticity, decreasing your like intuitive response to things in a way that's just, I think, really overwhelming and stressful. And once you start overthinking and over identifying with those thoughts, when you start engaging in metacognition of a massive scale, and you got to be careful. We talked about the rumination, all that stuff. It's super important to just say like, I'm gonna think about this. The conclusion that I landed on was that I need to set boundaries for thought, and I think to me, Griff's log is my boundary. This is my time to really think about these thoughts, to process them again, to share it with you guys, to just share some of my feelings and my learnings and what I've figured out. And I'm realizing that, I need to set these boundaries with myself because I can't be thinking about this all day. I'm going to drive myself crazy. Not because it's necessarily bad to think about the philosophy of mind, but that I have a job, I have goals, I have interests, I have a girlfriend, I have like things I want to do for fun. It's really fun to think about all this stuff, but oh my God, it's a lot to think about. I think we have to, there needs to be a boundary where this is when I really dive deep into thinking about the retrospective of the day. Because if the retrospective of my day, if every Griff's log is just a summary of Wikipedia pages that I've read, then what have I really lived? If every single time I just come here and I'm like, hey man, this is the wiki page that I read. These are the websites that I looked at. These are the YouTube videos that I watched. Who am I? What am I really logging? I'm logging this knowledge and this experience, but it is my lived experience of getting into the knowledge and absorbing it and getting obsessive over it and really understanding it. It's equivalent to, if I was in the 1800s just saying, hey, my day, I read a ton of books, right? Which is fun. I quite enjoy that. But it also worries me because I think that I would also find a ton of value in, a Griff's log being a real rushed, on the go phone thing where I'm like, hey man, look, I'm out at a party, but I wanted to summarize like what's happening today. This is really, really cool. I'm feeling so happy. This is really fun. And that's the end of my captain's log for today. It doesn't have to be a 30-minute rant about all this different stuff that I learned. Today it is. But some days I think it should be, you know what? I went on a date with my girlfriend and it was fucking awesome. And I didn't learn anything about psychology that day. I just appreciated the shit out of my girlfriend that day. And that's it. It's a 2-minute summary. And I talk about how much I love my girlfriend that day, and I think that's important for me to remember. I got to keep that in mind. Also, here's an interesting thing. Phenomenology, is that the word? I think it's another branch of, I think it's more philosophy. Let me see. Philosophy of experience. The idea that the ultimate source of all meaning and value is the lived experience of human beings. It's like what I'm trying to do with these Griff logs. This is how it ties in. Is the phenomenology? Is that how you, I don't know. Phenomenology. That seems right. The experience of life, the experience of what I've experienced. That's really important, man. When you think about, oh my God, there's 8 billion people in the world. Every single person had an interesting experience today. Every single person did something so cool. Yeah, I spent the day studying philosophy and doing all this stuff and doing my work and talking with my buddy about philosophy and talking with my buddy about philosophy and feelings and all that stuff. Two different buddies. I've done that today. Someone else has survived a war zone in their country. Someone else has hung out with cows today because they own a ranch. Someone else died from getting oppressed by a regime that hates them. They got slaughtered by a government. A very dark twist of discussion there, but it's like, there's so many different people out there, man, and it always makes me think about how grateful I am to be where I am, where I can sit in a room where I have posters of gaming stuff, and I'm happy to sit in front of a camera and talk to you guys. Oh my fucking God, I'm so grateful. Holy shit. Everything could have ended up totally different. I could not be where I am. I could be in a totally different place. I could have fallen off a cliff, man. I jumped off a cliff in Hawaii. I did a flip, actually. It was really fun. My butt was bruised for a little while. But I could have landed on my head and broke my neck. All these things could have happened. It didn't. I'm here today. I live to tell the tale, and I'm here to tell you about my day spent learning philosophy. My God, what a privilege that is, man. Holy fucking shit, I'm so thankful. But I think in essence, this log is kind of me engaging with phenomenology in a way of like sharing my experience. And if the human experience is the ultimate source of meaning and value, then perhaps sharing my experience with something offers a little bit of value to this here world. A little, and is that self-aggrandizing to say? Is that a little bit of narcissism for me to say? I don't know. Maybe. But I'd like to think that keeping track of what's happened, keeping track of where my head is at, keeping track of the world and how I'm interpreting it, I'm going to look back on this in a year. I'm going to look back on this in 10 years. So much value, at least for me. I don't know. Maybe what I've said, if something I've said has impacted you today, I'd love to hear about it because, I'll never know. I don't know. This is a one-way relationship, man. I am talking to a camera and a microphone. I am talking to you, but the you that is listening to this is very different than the other people that listen to me say you. You know what I mean? I will never know. All I will know is that I spoke into a microphone and looked at a camera and then published it to YouTube. That's it. I would love to know if something I've said you've also thought about. You have a better solution than what I've said. You have thought about these things. You've cried about these things. You have been punished for the misinterpretation of these things. And you know something better than me. God damn, share me, man. Share it with me. Share it, please. I want to know because it is such a blessing to be wrong, dude. To know you're wrong and to learn you're wrong is a goddamn blessing because you're given the opportunity to learn something new. You're given the opportunity to reshape how your path forward in life will be. If you're wrong about, I don't know, liking water, odd example, but if you're wrong about that and you said, well, you know what? I actually don't think I should drink water. I should drink sparkling water all day. I don't know. That's a different life approach, I guess. If you really like carbonation, changes your life, changes the opportunities that you have. You're gonna have to go find carbonated water everywhere. You're gonna have to bring it with you everywhere. You're gonna have to specialize your damn equipment on your body to be compatible with carbonated drinks at all times. Crazy. Anyway, the whole point is, please share with me things that I'm getting wrong, or maybe my perspective isn't quite mature enough, or my perspective is lacking a few other perspectives. I'm down to hear about it. I want to hear about it because I just want to learn and be the best version of me, man. Because I've been the worst version of me before. And I think I'm on the path to being a little bit better, which is cool. And I want to keep pursuing that path. I'm curious about all the butterfly effects of the entire universe. Well, sure. What if we isolate the path to just like the best ones? Could lead to paralysis with choosing what best means, but best for me means what I am capable of right now without much additional thought. What I am capable of right now. That's the best me. So I'm on the path towards a better me. I'm on the path towards that ideal of best me. There is no end to that goal. The value of being the best me does not have an end. There is no end. I will always be able to improve. I'll always be able to have a better opinion. I'll always be able to figure out what is a better thing to say, a better way to approach comedy, a better way to approach entertainment, a better way to speak, a better way to articulate my ideas, a new word I could learn. I'll never finish the dictionary. I suppose you could, but there's always new words invented, damn it. You know what? There's other languages you could learn. You know, there's all these concepts that, you know, you can never stop learning. And I'll never reach the best version of myself. But I think the virtue of being the best version of yourself is key. Next up, here's an interesting thought. Feelings about thinking before speaking versus just speaking straight up. This is a really interesting thing. I thought about this a lot today. I thought a lot about this even right now with what I'm saying to you. Is like, when I'm talking right now, I'm not thinking about every single word that's coming out of my mouth. I'm just speaking. I'm letting it come from my damn soul, and I'm letting it output from my mouth, my little speech box. I could think about every single word that I'm going to say and how I'm going to say it. I could be very, very deliberate with the words that I'm going to put out of my mouth. That pause right there was me figuring out the word that I wanted to say, right? The difference is that when I'm streaming, when I'm doing these videos, I don't want to think from a very scripted perspective. Maybe I have a few ideas that I'm trying to get through, but I want to approach the dialogue not from a place of scriptedness, but from a place of authentically figuring out what I want to say in the moment. And you're gonna have to bear with me because it's a different style of conversation here than I think a traditional edited YouTube video. And I might find that I'm gonna have to edit these videos in the future because sometimes it's just me rambling. But could it be that the rambling of that day is really important? I rambled. That's who I was. That's how I talked. Maybe I figure out how to articulate the most important points in like 5 minutes. I don't know. I don't know what this is gonna look like in a couple months. But I think that speaking without cognition, you know, there is no metacognition about observing my thoughts, because that metacognition of observing your thoughts and correcting your thought to then be a different thought and then outputting that new corrected thought, that would be thinking before speaking. Without doing any of that, I'm just relying on my intuition for filters, right? I'm relying on my intuition for how I might say something, how I might articulate something. I'm not thinking. I think that being able to speak from a flow state without thought is one of the most important things in my entire life, because how many times throughout the day, other than talking to yourself in the mirror or in the shower or while you're pooping or while you're walking around the home or while you're XYZ, for me, I guess a lot. Anyway, this is one of the times that I feel like I get to really share it, you know, with intent of sharing to another person, not to ruminate in my own head and go a little bit crazy, right? And I think, like, you know, I think it's really important to me. I think that the soulful speaking, the kind of the improv of what we're gonna say, that's so fun, man. And it's a totally different way of speaking. When you're in a business meeting, when you're at work, when you're trying to decide what to say in a meeting with your boss, it's like, yeah, there has to be a little bit extra metacognition to be aware of, oh my God, you know, there is this awareness of who you are and what you represent as a company and the rules and all these things. But it's so freeing to just be able to talk and not be concerned about, is this going to truly impact the person in front of me? Because I want to be honest, when I talked a lot about this with one of my friends today, is that I struggle a lot personally with interacting with people, man. Yeah, I'm really bad at it. And I think, you know, as a 25-year-old, you might think that's cringe for me to say. You might think that, you know, that's really sad. But I've been thinking about this. I'm like 99% sure I have autism. I for sure have ADHD. Like, the way that my brain works, I'm like pretty sure this is not normal. But I'm trying to figure out how to accept that. I don't think I have a disease. I think I just think differently. I don't think that there's something wrong with me. I just think it's a different approach. So, like, one example is that oftentimes I approach dialogue for the sake of like information sharing. My friend pointed this out as like, you know, someone with autism might have dialogue for the sake of sharing information. Whereas a neurotypical person might be trying to share these feelings or like, you know, just share some feelings together. That is not to say that one or the other cannot do either thing for either purpose. Like you can't, you know, I think an autistic person is allowed to share emotions, bro. But it was interesting to me because it made me realize, oh my God, dude, like 99% of the things that I message someone is because I'm sharing information. I'm sharing, hey, this is a really cool thing that I figured out. Hey, I'm wondering about what you think about this thing. Like it's less about my like, hey, how's your day going? How are you feeling about the new game that came out? I'm more like, hey, this is a really cool piece of information. What do you think about this? Hey, this is, you know, I'm really excited to share this information and collect information to share. You know, and, you know, I did that with my notepad here today. But it really made me think like, damn, you know, the metacognition of being able to think about what you're saying is important, because when you're talking to another human being, and this is what my friend helped me process today, is like when you are talking to another person, yes, there's this exchange of information. There might be this exchange of feelings, there might be all this stuff, but like, you know, if I just talk about the facts, if I just talk about the logic of whatever I'm talking about, you know, if I'm truly just trying to express information, the fundamental truth is that how I'm expressing that information matters. I'd like to think that perhaps the emotional response and the information itself can be separated. But the truth is that if I said this, like, you know, if I was talking like this, or if I was talking like really fucking aggressively, and like the way that I was talking, I was looking angry when I was saying stuff. You know what I mean? It's very different than if I'm like smiling and I'm saying like, you know, I really love dogs. I really love dogs, right? How you present the same thought, the same feeling, the same emotion, the same information will change how someone responds to it. And that sounds super obvious. It is obvious. How you say something changes how people respond to it. Congrats, genius. But the fact is that when I actually communicate on a daily basis, when I actually talk to, say, my girlfriend or talk to a friend, I sometimes, if I'm too comfortable, I lose that recognition of human emotion. I lose that, oh my God, I should maybe say this thing in a way that, you know, doesn't like make them upset. But it's like not the real fact. It's actually like a way to say the fact in a very roundabout way in order to soften the blow of that fact. It's like, you know, it's the Oreo method, all that stuff, right? The sandwich method. So it's like oftentimes when I'm really, really, really comfortable with someone, I will not do that anymore. I'll just say the thing. I will be as blunt and straightforward and simple as possible to articulate what I want to say. But the issue is that when you do that, you know, you lose this gentleness, you lose this kindness, this respect that even if you did not intend for it to be that way, that is the impact, right? And so it's kind of like this chewing on the idea that even if I don't intend for something to be received a certain way, the fact is, it is received a certain way. So cool. What are you going to do about it now? And I think for me, it's like when I am talking to someone about maybe a more touchy subject or we're discussing something a little bit more intensely, I have to remember in my brain, remember to be kind and gentle and respectful in my communication. It's an important thing that I've now added to my set of logic. It's not just about the logic. Yeah, we're trying to prove ABC, but we're trying to prove ABC in a kind and gentle and respectful and you know, nice way that everyone's having fun. Because I've realized when I become too comfortable, I lose that reminder. You know, when I'm at work, when I'm in a new social environment, when I'm in a new Discord call with a bunch of people, I'm not stupid. I'm not like horribly socially inept. I think that so much social anxiety kicks in where I'm even more quiet than I would normally be, because I don't want to step on anybody's toes and I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable by saying the wrong thing in a social dynamic I don't yet understand. And so, like, for example, we went to a picnic, me and my girlfriend, we went to a picnic with for one of her friends' birthdays, and I was so quiet. I was like the quietest I'd ever been in so long, because I am terrified to talk in that type of new environment, because you have 20 people there. All of them have different opinions, different perspectives, different values for all these different things. And then I'm going to say, I want, one of the things that we did is we said, like, what are the things you would, like, you'd have sex with, right? And like I said, not a bell sprout, the evolution, a weeping bell. I said a weeping bell. Kind of edgy a little bit. Some other answers were like Judy Hopps, or like some famous celebrity. But anyway, I had prior to saying that, I had like observed the vibes of the group to try to understand like the dynamic of where do I fit into this picture? What are the boundaries that I'm observing? Like, how do people generally talk? What do people think about certain things here? And like trying to understand that as concretely and consciously as possible prior to talking. But the issue is there's so many different people and so many different vibes and so many different conversations that just resulted in me saying nothing and being real quiet and saying jack diddly, and instead sitting there and touching grass. I'm sure that if I was to talk to all those people one-on-one, we'd have a great conversation. But I think in a big group, I'm very scared of talking to everybody. Because, I don't want to disrespect people's boundaries. I want to be a nice person. I want to be kind and respectful of everybody. And you can't do that if you don't know their boundaries. The only way to do that is to test those boundaries or wait and observe them. And that's what I usually choose to do when I first meet people. But it's a very interesting thing there. I guess the issue is that as a result, like social interaction like that is very exhausting for me, because it's a very frontal cortex type interaction, right? You're thinking so extensively about what other people are saying, what you're going to say, how that's not going to impact the other people there in a negative way. You're trying to find your place in this social harmony, and that process is very draining. So social interaction is very draining for me, because I am thinking about it a lot, and it's because I want to be respectful. But like the consequence of that is that, I'm not relying on my intuition to do that. I am relying on actually cognitively understanding everyone around me. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe what I should be working towards is being able to rely on my intuition for joining a big group like that and just being nice. And, if someone doesn't like me, even if I'm a little weird, but I'm nice, then they just don't like me. That's how it is. But I think I am worried about that, and that's something I've been trying to figure out. So a lot of that stuff, a lot of different stuff, man. Radical honesty is an interesting. Let's throw out some phrases. Radical honesty, incongruity theory, laughter relieves stress or anxiety. All right, super interesting thing here. Benign violation theory. Imagine a Venn diagram from benign to violation. And in the intersection is the idea of benign violation. Benign means it's like, acceptable, like chill. Like it's like, all right, it's like nice, it's fine. Violation, just like something you'd find maybe offensive, or something that violates your values, or maybe violates your preconceptions about something. Violates something. So then in the middle, you have this violation that is like kind of acceptable. That intersection is where laughter happens. It's a really interesting way to think about it. You're gonna look at me and say, dude, it's just something that's funny. Yeah. Why is something funny? Yeah, we can just say, yeah, it made me laugh. Why did it make you laugh? I don't care that it just made you laugh. Why did it make you laugh? And there's a whole research center dedicated to the understanding of the science of laughter. There are scientific papers about experiments done about why someone laughed here instead of there. Super interesting. But anyway, the overall idea is like, what is edgy humor? Edgy humor just means it violates something and is potentially malign, like less kind, less acceptable. A lot of people might, if you make an edgy joke about something, a lot of people are going to be finding that just a pure violation, and it's no longer funny. If something's just a violation, it's not funny. If something's too benign, it's also not funny. It's just like, that cat is very cute. Okay, like, congratulations, it's a very cute cat. You say, I want to eat the cat. Oh my God, that's just a violation, dude. No, you have to find that middle ground, where there's humor. I'm not going to try to attempt that. But the entire point is, how do you find that intersection between benign and violation? Super interesting concept. Lots of chew on there. And then what else did I get? I wrote down that I need to engage in hobbies that help me lose self-consciousness. I think for me, that's speed running. When I get on a really good run, I'm not self-conscious. I'm just doing. My heart's beating and I'm nervous, but I'm just doing, man. When I'm talking right here, I'm just doing. When I'm streaming, I'm just doing. I'm not really too anxious about it. I'm thinking. When I'm alone in my room at night and cannot sleep, I am deeply conscious and deeply thinking about everything. And it's valuable to be conscious. However, I think it can drive you crazy if you don't balance it with relaxation or with deliberate activities that bring you back to just being rather than thinking about being. You know what I mean? So lots to figure out. I think that I reflected a little bit about how to be as present as possible. I think that's really important to me. Doing activities that help me lose that self-consciousness, super important. I also reflected on this movie called About Time, which I watched with my girlfriend. It's your favorite movie. And one of the really cool takeaways, minor spoiler, skip ahead if you don't want to hear it. Minor spoiler is like, at the end of the movie, they say, you should live every day like you're a time traveler traveling back in time to that specific day just to revisit it, just to experience the best version of that day possible. To go back and correct any mistakes. To live it as full as possible. You should live your life like a time traveler who went back to do this day, this specific day that you're experiencing right now, as best as possible. That's a beautiful way of living life, man. And I thought a lot about that. Like, if you're in an argument with your girlfriend, if you're being a dick to the dude that cut you off, if you were a time traveler, would you do that? And I think that's really stuck with me, is like, no. No. You know what I would do if I'm starting to get heated with my girlfriend? I'd give her a hug and say, I love you. Let me understand you, man. How can I understand how you're thinking? I'm sorry for being a dick. How can I understand what you're saying? How can I help? How can I understand you? A time traveler wouldn't come back in time to be an asshole. So it really, again, I've thought a lot about that movie. It's really made me think. If you haven't seen it, it's worth watching. I love watching all these movies that really make you think and reevaluate. Like, damn, like, how do you think about stuff, man? Some other things I learned. I'm probably not going to get into it too deep today because I'm already talking about a lot today. But I learned a lot about storytelling. Some notes that I wrote down. Give yourself permission to fail. Wow, that's a banger one. Holy shit. You sacrifice how gorgeous and perfect something is in your head for what it really is when you actually do it. If you don't post a YouTube, I talked about this the other day. If you don't post a YouTube video, it's because in your head it's this beautiful thing. It's this awesome idea. It's this untouchable, perfect idea. Once you actually write it, once you actually film it, once you actually edit it, once you actually post it, it just is. And it's probably not perfect. It's probably not what you had in mind. It's probably not the most beautiful thing, but it's the real thing. It's an interesting trade-off. You sacrifice the perfection in your mind for the reality that actually happens, So very interesting thing. I pinned that I have a Discord channel where I keep track of some thoughts, in addition to my notepad. I probably should consolidate that. But I learned a lot about writing today. I thought about, like, how do you write better stories? What does that mean? How do you authentically speak, but get those words from your mouth to the paper in an authentic way, and then still structure it in a great way that tells a story? This type of content is me basically rambling for 50 minutes, but how can I construct a video about one of my experiences gaming that is very concrete and very deliberate and very authentic? How can you balance that deliberateness of structure with authenticity of voice? That's something I'm really struggling with and trying to figure out, and I don't know how that's going to look for me, but I'm really excited to figure out where that takes me and how I learn. The advice I keep hearing is be unapologetically yourself. Share how you feel. Share what you think. Share what you're who you are. And I think that's something I'm always afraid of, is that fear of rejection. But that's something I'm working towards. You know, I just shared with you guys 50 minutes of my thoughts here, man. I want you guys to feel like after you've listened to one of my logs, like you're not alone, that there's another person in this world that understands how you feel, and understands not just on a I get how you feel level, but I just articulated 50 minutes of struggle to you. And if this resonates with even one person very closely, man, I hope that maybe provides a little bit of comfort, that I understand you, that if you made it this far in the video, maybe you're listening for good reason, and I understand you. I get you. And I hope that provides a little bit of solace in our world here. I learned a lot about Kurt Vonnegut. I learned a lot about David Foster Wallace. Such a thoughtful guy, man. So incredibly thoughtful and self-reflective. Beautiful person. I wish I got to experience them when they were alive. Now I'll get to experience their books after. Then I also, I think the other really big thing today, it's very, 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 very important. I think that I just need to figure out how I authentically tell stories. And I think the way I do that is I just gotta tell stories, man. I just gotta write some shit on paper, figure out the structure that I feel makes sense and feels good and feels fun to listen to for me, and figure out how to share that. Maybe people like it, maybe people won't, I don't know. But either way, I'm gonna grow as a writer. I'm gonna grow as a creator. I'm gonna grow as an entertainer, man. And it's gonna be a lot of posting really, really garbage stuff for a very long time. But I think the point of being a creator is having the courage to do that anyway. I'm not trying to gas myself up. It's just I have gone through periods where I don't post anything. And I think that, and I thought that being a creator meant finding the right answer, finding the right niche, finding the right approach to making videos, finding the thing that I have to do, the video I have to make, that I'm going to make this type of thing forever. But I think that being your authentic self and failing and making mistakes, doing the wrong thing and learning it yourself is the approach I'd like to take. Whether it's the right approach, wrong approach, I don't know. From what perspective, man? Who knows? It's a perspective that I think I have right now. Maybe that'll change. I don't know. Finally, there's a game called Get to Work that they're going to do a speedrun competition on December 2nd. I'm going to take the day off from work. It's like a day-long speedrunning competition to see who can get as fast as possible in that one day. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the day off. And I'm going to try to compete for fun. I think it's going to be really, 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 really fun. I'm really excited. And we'll see what happens. So that's something I have to look forward to on the 2nd of December. And guys, you know what? That was 53 minutes of pouring my heart and soul out to you. I hope you enjoyed today's Griff's log. I'll figure out an outro, man. I'll figure it out. We shared about a lot of things. I'd love to hear what you guys are grateful for, the best things that have happened to you today, all the stuff you're learning. Feel free to share, man. If you want to comment on this video with your log for the day, go for it. Either way, have a nice day. Catch you in the next one. Adios.